There are thousands of individual items in Tarkov, so keeping track of their value is nearly impossible. There are a few rules of thumb that you can remember to help you get the most out of your raids and keep the most valuable items and not take out items that are really not even worth their slots in your backpack. For example, one of these rules of thumb is military items. Anything that has military in its name, probably worth keeping. Not only do they usually sell for a lot on the flea market, they very frequently sell for a ton just to the traders by themselves. Along with that is anything you find in a safe, usually worth keeping. All the items there are worth tons of vendor loot and very frequently are worth more on the flea market as well. Now, on top of these rules, there are a handful of items that a ton of folks overlook, leave them in raid, and they're still got a lot of value to them. This is huge because even if you happen upon an area that's already been looted, many of these items are left behind and still have a ton of value, so you can still make some money even after places have already been dug through. Those are the items we're going to focus on this video, pointing out the things, the little hidden gems, so you can get the most out of your raids. So we're just going to go real simply through them right here in the inventory, show you guys what they are. We're going to start off with three of my favorite. They are every wipe. If these videos are not new to you, if you've seen them before, you're going to recognize these right away. That is squash, tarcola, and herring. Now, these are valuable primarily because of the barter with Jaeger, his little fridge barter. Let me get to it real quick. As you can see here, you need 10 hot rods, 5 tarcolas, 5 herrings, 5 squashes. So these sell anywhere from 12 to 20,000, depending on the time of the day and where they're at. Right now, you're seeing herrings in that kind of price range. Tarcolas are probably about 14,000. Oh, look, see, even they're pushing 20,000. And squashes, again, probably in that 14, 15,000 range. So if you're seeing those, they're almost always worth taking out a raid. You're not usually going to find better loot, and they sell for great on the flea market. Along with that is some other food items, obviously condensed milk. This one is great simply because it vendors for a lot. You can sell it on the flea market if you want, but it's not going to get you, you're going to lose money because of the fee, but it sells right to therapists for 15,000. Per slot, easy money, nothing to think about. That's why you see, when you see one of these things, it's just basically free cash to pick up. Now, the Tushonkas and Marlboros also are important because of barters. The big cans of Tushonkas and the Marlboros have huge price swings. You will see these as cheap as 7,000 to 8,000 like you're seeing here, all the way up to over 20,000. Then it depends entirely on the proper reset. Right now, we're a ways away. As you can see, the BS barter is out, which is why Marlboros are cheap right now. But once he resets here in about 18 minutes, these will push 20,000, sometimes 25,000, depending on the day of the week and the time of the day that they go. But people snatch them up and buy them. So I'll always pick up Marlboros. I list them as a stack, either at the end of the night, or if I'm lucky enough to catch them right there at that proper reset, I'll sell them for 15, 20,000, sometimes 25. And the same thing applies for the cans of Tushonka. As you can see here, the BT barter, there's still some of those left, so people are still buying them. There's other uses that cause this as well, but this is why you'll see these push that higher price point, and sometimes they'll be cheaper. If this sells out before he resets, you'll see the can of Tushonka price push down to like 12,000. Now, after that, we will get into some quick barter items, things that I see people leave behind all the time that are just worth a bunch of money. And we're going to go with the 2 red handle pliers, the round pliers, and the elite pliers. Now, by themselves, these things are worth a ton to the traders. You can sell them for 18 and 17,000 respectively. But even the elites, for whatever reason, barters and other stuff, these will push 30,000 sometimes. Most of the time I'm just vendoring them, but if I see them like this and I have a couple of them picked up, I sell them. And they show up in toolboxes, open loot. If I see red handle pliers, I'm almost always picking them up. Now with ES lamps, the energy saving lamps, the white ones, these things, they price swing as well. You'll see them down in 11, 12,000, but very frequently you'll see them push 17, 18,000. I sell them most of the time for about 15, 16, but I have seen them higher than that. And that's just because they get used in a ton of different barters. I'll show you here with some of the barters that we have. For one, you got the camelback. You use them there. They get used in the hideout, which is a little bit less, but you also have several weapon, grenade barters, things like that, that will use those up, that people are buying them for to do those. So keep that in mind. Now, fuel, everybody knows fuel is worth keeping, right? It's worth a bunch of money. This is probably worth what, 160, 170,000. But what I want to point out to you guys is that if you stick this in, and I'll do it right now. Stick it in your generator. Well, I'll put it right here. See, and if you take it out, it still maintains its check mark. It's still found in raid. So you can burn this down to 0, and I'm gonna have to clear some stuff out here because I have to get rid of the operational only. you can still sell empty ones for 35, 40,000. So keep that in mind. If you're finding fuel and you don't want to sell it because you want to use it, don't just vendor your empty can or craft it. You usually get more value here than you can anywhere else with the found and raid cans, making that fuel just that little bit extra cheaper. Now after that is PSUs, and these ones can be kind of tricky, but right now is a good time to keep them. You'll see them push this 22, 23,000, and it's actually good to buy these to craft, but go look at my crafting video that's talking about that. These will get snatched up from time to time because you need lots of them for things like the Bitcoin farm and stuff like that to build those. So you'll see a bunch of them disappear real quick. They will push 45, 50, 60,000 at evenings, especially simply because people are buying a lot of them up. So I'll pick them up. I usually hang on to them. I don't sell them at this price. I list them for at least 40,000, but usually 45 to 50. They sell each night. And if I see them cheap like this, I'm usually buying them up. I don't want to do it right now in the video and distract, but buy them up and use these to craft capacitors when they're cheap like this. Now from there is another item that you see on rogues a lot, as well as sometimes scav bosses and things, and that's AFACs, especially partially used ones, or even on players. You might think a 260 out of 400, I'm not going to use that. It's not even a full IFAC anymore. The thing that's a beauty about it is even if you're not going to use it, it's still worth 17,000. So 260 is definitely worth taking out. You can just give it to therapists, sell it, and that's worth that one slot that's worth more than most of the other loot you're gonna have. So keep that in mind with those AFACs. Even ones that are like down into the 200s are usually worth picking up just to vendor them by themselves. Now after this, we have round glasses and masks. Again, barter items. Almost all of these are driven by barters that we're talking about. These things, you see them pushed down in 10 and 11, but I've also had to buy them as high as 20, 25,000 for one specific reason, and that is a barter for armor. The M2 rig requires 3 round glasses and 3 KS13 face shields. It's a pretty decent barter at Ragman 3. I believe it's a 3. It might be a 2. No, it's a 3. And cheap class 4. A lot of people use it, especially when they can get the round glasses a little bit cheaper. But if you want to wear them, you can. You know, if you find them in raid and you want to put them on, especially as your scav. But the point is just not to vendor them. You know, make sure you're selling them on the flea market if you get them, because you can get a little bit more value out of them that way. And the same thing with these neoprene red masks. These things sell usually for 13, 14, maybe 15,000. And again, it's for another barter for armor. I will show you here just so you guys can see exactly what it is. And it's the Tac with the GP5 gas masks, which can be worth flea marketing. I usually don't take them out because it's pretty hard to get over 40,000 for their 4 slots. But if you have it on your player scav or something, keep that in mind, not to just sell it to the trader. Make sure you're throwing that at the flea market. Now, a couple items real quick just to talk about is the LA-50, the LA-5B. This tactical device, this PEQ right here, is worth a small fortune because of Gunsmith. Now, you can buy it for mechanic, but it's high level, so most people don't. I've seen these push 75,000. I just sell them for whatever they're selling at the market at the time. Just don't vendor them. Don't sell them if you get these found in raid, because you find them on scav guns or you find one sitting in a weapon spawn. Just keep in mind, they are worth a ton. And the same thing with the laser tac 2, and these are more common. You'll see these on shotgun scavs. Basic shotgun scavs will have these a lot of the time. Make sure you're keeping them because they are worth quite a bit of money to sell on the flea market. And then kind of a secret here that a lot of people don't know about, and it's very interesting, is this PM parentheses T pistol. It's T pistol. This is a threaded barrel Makarov, and it is worth a bunch of money. There's not even any listed right now. I see them go anywhere from 50,000 up to 200,000. And the reason is this kind of silly barter on Jaeger. Is it on 2? Is it on 3? It's on Jaeger 3. You need 3 of these PMT pistols to do the flare pistol. So the regular PM pistol doesn't work, but the PMTs, if you're seeing those, make sure you're keeping them, whether you see it on your scav, you find it in a box, wherever, because it is worth a bunch of money. Now, to round out the items that are worth keeping, I want to do a quick shout out for some ammos. Things you might not realize you're going to see all the time. 855, for example, you kill a scav with an 8R. I'm always looking at the ammo because you can sell 855 for 600-700 rubles a round, sometimes even higher. Why? I can't 100% explain it. It's just the way it is. It's 855. It sells okay in big stacks. I keep it whenever I can find it and just sell it for the decent money. And the same thing applies for FMJ, 45 ACP match FMJ. This stuff, you'll find it in pistols on rogues, things like that. I always pull it out because a stack will sell for anywhere from 500 to 700 pretty consistently without too much trouble. So as I'm finding it, if I get a gun out of my scav case or on my scav, an ump that I find in a box, or usually the 45, the 1911s, I'll pull all the ammo at. I keep a mag box up here that's just for selling ammo that I throw everything in. And then I sell it once I get a big enough stack. This applies with two of the Makarov ammos, actually, the SP7 and PBM. These two ammos, the reason they're important is SP7 is like the biggest flesh damage ammo, and this is for ketters, right? Ketters are loving this. So you find SP7 in little boxes, things like that all over the place. I'm usually picking it up, taking it out of the box, keeping stacks of it, because this is on the cheap end. You'll see SP7 push 600-700 rubles around sometimes, so it makes a full stack of it for sure worth. And PBM is the same way, except on the other end of the spectrum. This is the highest pen 9x18 ammo for the Keter, so it actually can get through face shields and things like that. Though not a lot of people use it, it's kind of rare to find. So I'm usually selling for somewhere between 500 and 700 rubles around. It's pretty cheap here, but there's not a lot of ammo. You'll see this buy out. People come in and buy a bunch of this up, and it'll jump up into 500 or 600 pretty easy. That's usually where I'm selling my PBM at. And then lastly is US. 7.62 by 39 US specifically. Now, you can only buy this on proper loyalty level 3. So that means when you sell it on the flea market, it's rare. I never use this ammo. I know some people you like it a lot because it really reduces recoil on guns. But for whatever reason, it will sell for a ton. I've sold it for usually about 700-800 just so I can get it sold and it's not sitting around. But I've seen this sell for as high as like 1,200-1,500 around. Just because people want to buy it, I guess, and they don't have proper loyalty level 3. So if you're finding US ammo in stacks, don't find it on scavs all that often, but I'll find it in ammo boxes. It's definitely worth something taken out. Now, what I like to do with these videos is I wrap them up with a couple items you guys shouldn't be looting anymore because they're not even worth their slots. For me, usually anything worth under 10K per square that it takes up isn't even worth my time picking up because I'm almost always gonna end up throwing it out anyways and replacing it with something else. So I don't even bother. We'll start off with the two easy to remember triple slot 3-item 3x1, these ceiling foam, Xenomorph and Shistrillo. They sell for usually about 21 to 25,000, though Shistrillo sometimes will push like that 30K range. It just doesn't do it enough. And they don't vendor for any more than, you know, the 22 or 21,000, whatever it is. So I usually just skip over those. I don't pick them up. If you end up with them, great. If you don't have anything else, sure, pick them up, but they're a skip over. Same thing goes for horses. Early wipe, these things can be worth a ton. And when it's early wipe, by all means, keep them. But in our current 6-month wipe cycle, most of the wipe they're spent at this less than 15K range. If you're lucky, you can get 20K, but again, just not worth my time. I usually don't pick them up unless I'm on my scav, I don't have anything else, or I get them out of a scav case or something. Same thing goes for drills. These things are worth a bunch early wipe, but they fall off pretty quick, and as you can see now, they're not even selling for 30,000. Metal cutting scissors. There was a time long ago when we walked uphill to our hideouts, both ways uphill in the snow kind of thing, when these were worth a ton of money. They're not anymore. They're not even worth keeping. Barely sell for 15,000, 16,000 what they sell to the vendor for. And tool sets. These are another one that they are super valuable for a very long time, and then they just fall off a cliff. Some days you can get them for over 40 or sell them for 40K. I don't like sitting on them. I don't pick them up anymore. I have some of them just because I need them for crafting, but aside from that, they're not very good loot. And the same thing goes with the master files. They're just not worth it. Not something you want to pick up. Not worth their 4 slots. You're going to get, 4 cans of food are going to be worth more than this. And that's kind of how I look at it. But that pretty much wraps it up. That's everything for this video. If you guys have any other loot that you want to share, make sure you throw it down in the comments. That'd be great. I know a lot of people like to keep something secret. I don't think this is going to ruin anybody's day. It's just a nice thing to point out for folks so that they're getting a little bit more money out of their raids, because we all know money's life in Tarkov. So I'll wrap her up there. I'll thank you guys for watching. Real quick shout out. I do have my own music on Spotify. It is links down in the description. We're 9 albums, 160 songs, something like that. It's lo-fi music. It's really good. It's free to listen to. If you're a content creator, you can use it in your own videos or on your streams and not have to worry about copyright strikes or DMC takedowns. We don't do any of that stuff. It is my music. It's not, I didn't buy it from somebody. It's not something that is made for somebody else. It is my music. I am the artist on it. So go check out the link. Make sure you let me know what songs you like. Listen to it, because it also helps the stream out, helps do the content, all the other stuff. But we'll wrap her up there. That's the last of my plugs. I wish you the best of luck in your raids, and we'll see you in Tarkov.